So I got this Dragonfly cookie cutter and I knew that I wanted to use it for clay. And I ended up making this really pretty purple and blue dragonfly, and I really like it. However, I think it's a tad bit too big for what I want to do. So to make it smaller, I decided to use shrink eating paper. So I traced the cookie cutter on the paper itself, I cut it out, and then I shrunk it, and then I made a mold with it. However, I think it's too big for earrings, so I retraced the medium-sized shrink plastic piece I made on the shrink eating paper, and then I cut it out again, and then I shrunk it so I got a smaller size, and then I made a mold of that as well. Now the molds aren't perfect just because of the awkward shape it is, but I did my best making the mold. However, when I use it, I have to clean up the details afterwards because it's not perfect, and that's fine. I just needed to get the general shape of it down. I found with the smaller mold, I have less issues with it. It still needs cleaning up, but it's not as bad because it's smaller. I also noticed that after the shrink plastic is baked and shrunken, it kind of has like a grainy sort of texture on it, and this does translate into the mold. So when I put clay into it and I pop it out of the mold, you can kind of see like the texture on it, and it's not too bad if you like texture. But you can always just smooth it out after you make the mold, like smooth out the clay. Either that, or I'm assuming sanding would work. I don't really want to mess with sanding because I don't have like a mask to do that because I don't really care to inhale shrink plastic. So after I shape it out of the mold and fix it up, I usually just pre-bake it. I of course add an eye pin in the top of it so I can make it a charm. But I just pre-bake it so it's a nice solid canvas to work on, so I can add the details all on top. And for like the color combinations, I realize that I more gravitate towards doing the complementary colors, so like what's on the opposite side of the color wheel. So in this case, since I have a green base, I'm going to be using different shades of purple. And so I just find some from my scrap clay bin and I just smear it on and I make like this pattern. And I don't know, it's just really fun being able to just use my fingers and just like smudge the clay on there because it has like this organic look to it. And then I just fill in like the body part with the same color I used like at the beginning so it's all cohesive. For some extra detail, I just use my silicone tool and I add some indents along the body, and usually I space these out differently each time, so towards like the head and stuff I make it closer together, and then when I get to the bottom it gets farther apart. You can kind of see this better on the large one I made just because I had more surface area to work with. And then for the eyes I just use the same like base color, so in this case it's the green. For some additional detail, I like to use some chalk pastels, and usually I'll just use a darker version of whatever the base color is. So in this case, I'll be using a dark green, and I'll put it on like the wings, like the edge of the wings, and then I'll use a small brush and I'll just brush it inside like the indents that I made earlier. Now I realized that it's kind of too light, so it didn't really show up on the wing, so I had to mix my own like combination to make sure it shone on both the body and the wings. So I did the beading and like the adding of the findings off camera to make it all shiny, and to lock in the chalk pastels I decided to glaze it with some water-based wood varnish, and I just dumped it in because it's very fun. After it was all dry, I really wanted to add some gemstones on the corner of the wings, so I just used these purple ones, and these are actually left over from my diamond painting I did many years ago, and I just put them on with super glue. So here is the final dragonfly pendant. I did make it into a necklace, and the necklace is adjustable. I also made this one. This was the first one I made this size, and I really like it, so I thought I'd show you. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see y'all next time. Bye!